Take it to Moody's Collision Center.
If your car is wrecked and you don't know where to go,
take it to Moody's.
You want to get on with your life, get on with the show.
Take it to Moody's.
Good people you can trust and it won't be your fault.
Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
MOODY. Your kid was talking on the cell phone, drove right through your own home, sitting in the parking lot. Maybe you get hit a lot, driving through the green light. Suddenly your side swipe, put it in reverse, but it turned out that it was first.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
In this election, the health and financial security of voters over 50 are on the line. That's why AARP Maine is fighting for your voice to be heard. From preventing cuts to Social Security, to protecting Medicare, to lowering prescription drug prices, you deserve to cast your vote on the issues that matter to you. And AARP Maine is here to help. If you haven't voted yet, now is the time to learn about your voting options and cast your ballot. We're working to make sure you can vote safely, whether you choose to vote from home or in person. Your voice matters. Make sure it's heard. Go to aarp.org/Maine votes to learn about your voting options and how to vote safely this election. Visit aarp.org/Maine votes today. Paid for by AARP.
And Sarah Gideon for Senator Radio. Take one.
As a lifelong Mainer, I make it
Cut. Sarah, you were born in Rhode Island, so let's try take two, okay?
I'm Sarah Gideon, and I don't take corporate money.
Cut. Sarah, the research team says you did take corporate money, even though you tell us you don't. Let's keep going. Take three.
I'm Sarah Gideon, and on taxes...
Cut. Let's not go there. Sarah, you've tried 86 times to raise taxes and fees on everything from healthcare to heating oil to snowmobiles. So let's just move on to take four.
I'm working every day to...
Cut. You sent the legislature home 6 months ago and haven't done anything since then.
They don't need to know that.
Shut it down. Sarah, let's just toss this thing to someone who actually never stops working for Maine.
I'm Susan Collins, candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Collins for Senator.
I'm CBS 13 meteorologist Lexi O'Connor. This morning, cloudy with areas of fog. Chance for a light shower. Remaining cloudy today with the chance for a light shower. It will be cooler with highs in the mid to upper 50s. Clearing overnight, sunny and nice tomorrow with highs in the mid 60s. Sun and clouds near 60 on Friday. Back to the 60s with the chance for a late day shower on Saturday.
All right, Lexi, thank you very much. Right now, we are in the upper 40s, low 50s most of the time.
are now saying that immigration is important to our country, that immigrants take jobs that Americans otherwise wouldn't do. They want to expand refugee programs. Federal race. You have actually united us in recognizing that perhaps those policies are actually the right path for America. This is Ethan Strimling with Swing Hard, Turn Left.
ABC Entertainment News.
The pandemic will be front and center when Blackish returns to TV tonight, and star Jennifer Lewis tells me she was a little freaked out to go back to work and be around other people.
Absolutely, I had a full-out anxiety attack.
But the safety protocols worked. After 2 months, they've had no positive tests. Catch Blackish tonight on ABC.
Let's get to work.
The Fast and Furious franchise is apparently coming to an end, but it'll be a while. The 9th film due out next Memorial Day. Deadline reports that'll be followed by a 10th and then finally an 11th movie. No word why Universal would kill the multi-billion-dollar franchise, which might live on via spin-offs.
We will return home.
If they will, we won't know it. The ambitious Netflix space drama Away, starring Hilary Swank, is one and done. It premiered last month and won't be getting a season 2. The Crown has its new Prince Charles. The Affair star Dominic West reportedly set to tackle the role for seasons 5 and 6. Season 4 due out November 15th.
You idiot.
And Judge Judy is 78 today. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
Hi, this is Kim, Scott Searway's daughter. I am so proud of my dad. He has spent his whole life working on behalf of others, stepping up to help people in any way he can. During his law enforcement career and his time in the legislature, he has always worked to build a stronger community, going out of his way to figure out how he can provide people with a hand up to improve their lives. He is a dedicated family man, a community member, and just who we need representing us in the state Senate.
Thank you, Kim. I'm running for re-election this year so I can keep working hard for all of you in this community I care so much about. Having spent nearly 3 decades in law enforcement, keeping our communities safe and supporting our first responders are among my top priorities. I know COVID-19 has impacted all of us, and I'm committed to reviving Maine jobs and livelihoods. I'm Senator Scott Searway, and it would be an honor to have your vote this year.
Paid for and authorized by Searway, Allen Road Treasurer.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's. Collision Center.
If your car is a wreck and you don't know where to go,
Take it to Moody's.
You wanna get on with your life, get on with the show.
Take it to Moody's.
Good people you can trust, and it won't be a fuss.
Take it to Moody's. Collision Centers.
MOODY. Your kid was talking on the cell phone, drove right through your own home, sitting in the parking lot. Maybe you get hit a lot, driving through the green light. Suddenly your side swipe, put it in reverse, but it turned out that it was first.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's. Collision Centers.
In this election, the health and financial security of voters over 50 are on the line. That's why AARP Maine is fighting for your voice to be heard. From preventing cuts to Social Security, to protecting Medicare, to lowering prescription drug prices, you deserve to cast your vote on the issues that matter to you. And AARP Maine is here to help. If you haven't voted yet, now is the time to learn about your voting options and cast your ballot. We're working to make sure you can vote safely whether you choose to vote from home or in person. Your voice matters. Make sure it's heard.
So get away from it all with a look to the past at Town Line Antiques, open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 to 5 on Route 201 right on the Winslow-Vassaboro Town Line.
For you or for who? 7 times to eliminate protections for pre-existing conditions. Was she working for you? How about when she voted against making prescription drugs more affordable, or to cut funding for Social Security and Medicare? And when she voted for a $1 trillion tax cut for corporations, but to raise taxes on middle-class families? Well, if Susan Collins wasn't working for you, who was she working for? Collins has taken more than $6 million from Washington's special interests, and she's put drug companies, the insurance companies, and Wall Street ahead of Maine people. But as Speaker of the House, Sarah Gideon brought Democrats and Republicans together.
This is David Neely, former publisher of Maine Seniors Magazine, and I'm pleased to share that the Senior Planning Center is assisting seniors in this time of need. The Medicare Savings Program has increased its income guidelines by 10%, and many Medicare beneficiaries will qualify. You may also qualify for enhanced coverage.
Well, obviously, it sounds as if, from what I've heard, the National Republicans are trying to back away from this race. I was having a conversation actually with a Golden staffer yesterday online. We were chatting online, and I said, "Your guy's going to win by 20 or so points," and I haven't seen him in 2 years. I don't think he's done anything or been anywhere for 2 years. He's got a great campaign staff. They run great commercials, and he's going to win in a blowout.
Yeah, that is one of the biggest surprises. You know, the first deal that
most vulnerable. And you know, they're the only one on ranked voting. He didn't get the first plurality. So one would think he'd be very vulnerable. Yes, that is not a bad candidate. He was supported by Paula Page. He's a strong conservative. He's a good military man. So I'm not saying he would have beat him, but you're right. Jared was not very visible. I think what he did in Congress was what was expected of him. Not a whole lot in Congressman, but it's a surprise. And I think that Jared has run a massive campaign compared to our Senate race, which is just bizarro world, how much money they're spending. And just negative, except for Barack Obama is coming to save the day.
He has. Today is the first day that the Gideon campaign bought time on our station, running the Obama campaign on the radio. It's been on television for a couple of days. I played it yesterday here in the television ad. But Obama's great. I mean, he's a wonderfully gifted speaker. He's Barack Obama. He's cool. He's calm. He's collected. I'm not sure, though, as we always like to talk about here, Ken, about how many minds he's going to change, however, because I don't think there's 7 people in the state who haven't made their mind up at that point.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I mentioned, I was the Bill Green ad on Channel 6 when you see a big, I thought were actually very damaging to or helpful to season. And I agree with you. We've often said that endorsements don't mean a whole lot. But I think, I think Paula Page's endorsement certainly doesn't hurt. You'd rather have them than not have them. But I thought that Bill Green ad, because Bill Green is very well liked from WCA base of viewers, I thought that could have swayed some undecided if there were any. So at least to kind of offset that a little. I agree. I don't think a little bit.
Yeah, somebody asked me I went with Bill Green.
Well, I think so too, because I think that he's a local person. I like Bill. He had a great show and people liked him. So yeah, I think anytime a local person does something, be more impactful than Barack Obama, who may or may not be popular in the state. Presidents who we really didn't like, if you're a liberal, when they were in office, all of a sudden, they become very popular after they came to office. And I think George W. has done a pretty good job at, not getting involved in these negative ways, and people kind of like him now, even if they didn't like him then.
Well, he and Michelle Obama, they're like, they're real buddies. They're pals. Whenever you see them at any state funeral, they're always right next to each other, laughing like a couple of kids in class in the back of the room. So, but we get former President Obama with an endorsement here at Sarah Gideon, and obviously maybe the most hotly contested Senate race in the country. And interestingly enough, we don't ever see George W. Bush do those kinds of things, save for Susan Collins, because I know the families were close. She was down there this summer in Kennebunkport, but we don't see that. I wonder why.
Well, I think that, George W. is really kept out of the limelight, much more than I expected him to. Not that Obama was really the spotlight until now, but I think that Obama's getting more involved in it, mainly with Joe Biden, and I think that once you get actively campaigning this past president, then you kind of open the floodgates to other people who need your support. So it just makes me his style. I think George W. has positioned himself pretty well since he's been out of office. Never criticized Obama. And remember, well, in terms of Trump, obviously his brother is Trump. He got so hard. But he doesn't. So I'm not sure that maybe he's into that. Think about it. Maybe he would not help her.
There were many times through the years in Alzheimer that when we were doing shows down at Portland, I wish that I had a mute button for you that I could press and shut you up at a moment's notice. That never happened, though. However, there will be a mute button for the debate tomorrow night. Thoughts on that?
Well, first of all,
did you want to have a mute button for me?
I'm surprised Trump wasn't set up that I'm not doing it. I think Trump thinks that he could just talk over it. can you really use Donald Trump? I don't think so. I think what's going to happen, which is going to be just delicious. He's gonna, if you set him up, he's gonna walk right over to the podium. He's gonna go right next to Joe Biden. He's gonna yell. He's gonna shout. You can't stop Donald Trump being Donald Trump, even though everyone has said to him. Everyone has said to him, Mr. Trump, you can't do that again. It's not healthy. Stop it. You can't help himself. So I think it's gonna be. I think that is fine. I think that his attack on the commissioner is stupid. But you really think anybody can set up Donald Trump?
He's done it yet in 74 years.
You think he's going to sit there differential for 2 minutes? He might as you described it, lie. He can't help himself. He's going to bring up Hunter Biden in the first 3 minutes of the debate.
Well, yeah. Did you hear, I don't know if you were listening earlier, but I played some sound of Rudy Giuliani talking about what in some of the text messages where he says there's underage girls there. So,
did you also hear the allegation that was that those emails were falsified? And that Giuliani is the one who started to be behind a lot of these people. No, he was dealing with the Russians, and that's clearly what he was doing. He claims he did not know he was a Russian.
okay.
Look, this is the 2 weeks before the election. You know that all the guns are going to come out. But I'm not sure there's a lot of guns for that. I mean, what is there to do?
Far as having pictures of them in compromising positions, no.
I just don't think. I think that people have made it. Look, how many people? What did they say? 25% of Mainers have already voted. Of the voting population of Maine have already voted.
Yeah.
So, frankly, I think the election's probably over. I mean, I'm not. Look, 25% is not 100%. I'll give you that. But as you said, who has not made up their mind yet?
I don't know. I haven't run into anybody. I mean, this is so polarizing and so black and white, sometimes literally, that I've never seen anything like it. It's hard to believe that there are people who are undecided. I know Michael Shepard from the Bangor Daily News, they've actually found, I think they've been profiling 4 people that they found somehow that contacted them because they were asking people to contact them if you're undecided. And I told Mike yesterday, I think those are the only 4 people that literally haven't decided yet.
I mean, can you sit there and say, Joe Biden?
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't distinguish the two. I don't know what the difference between the two of them are. I mean, it's just, and I think that the people who support, for example, you don't like Donald Trump personally. You like his policies. You don't love Joe Biden because Joe Biden's too liberal. You're going to vote for Donald Trump. An earthquake can happen, and it's not going to change your mind. Those people who hate Donald Trump and think he's mentally ill like me would never vote for Donald Trump and would vote for anybody but Donald Trump. So what's there to think about? What's there to decide? How can you be on the fence on this? I don't get it.
I don't get it either. But man, it sure is crazy. It's hard to believe we're closing within 13 days, and I'm still really I guess challenged by the fact that if you had told me a year ago that Sarah Gideon was going to possibly take out Susan Collins, I would have told you were nuts. But here we are, 13 days out, and this thing is a cliffhanger.
I think the Kavanaugh vote.
Yeah.
I think the Kavanaugh vote really hurt her with women. I'm not sure the other stuff, like, the ads about Social Security and Medicare, and she wants to eliminate it, and Sarah Gideon wants to tax you and all that. It's usually the economy's stupid. I mean, we know that. But I'm not, it may be, a lot of it may just simply be people saying, 4 terms is enough. There are people out there who believe in term limits. and think that, you've been in the Senate for 24 years, enough is enough. Obviously, the seniority system favors you being in there longer than that. Look at Ted Kennedy. Look at all those people who've been in the Senate for ages and had much more power and influence. So I still give the edge to Susan. I find it hard to believe when, at the end of the day, people are not going to kind of reflect back on things she has done for the state of Maine, which any senator would do. I mean, even Angus King, you can point to things that he's done for the state of Maine in terms of his votes and stuff. But yeah, I was amazed that they found Bath Iron Workers who would come out and say, we're not going to vote for Susan Collins anymore. Well,
I know.
What did Susan Collins do against Bath Iron Works?
Yeah, she's delivered the goods there. And that's my next question. Would you agree with me that if Susan Collins were to lose, therefore meaning that Sarah Gideon won, that Maine would be at a loss when it comes to goodies from the feds?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. We have an independent senator who obviously is caucuses with the Democrats and is liberal, no doubt about it. So he doesn't really have the Republicans don't even try and get Angus on their side. So he's really not the kind of guy who you'd want to have power because he could go either way. And a freshman senator, you're certainly not going to have that kind of influence. You have Susan who would be able to chair the Appropriations Committee, which is an incredibly powerful position. That's what happens when you have a senator who's in there for a long time. And so, yes, of course, you lose the bacon. You lose the bacon.
The pork, yep.
Although people say they don't like the fact that there's the seniority and that there's all this graft in Congress, and the longer you're there, the more you get and stuff. But of course you like it. You don't like it when it happens in another state.
Right, and then when you lose it, we'll see how much you like it or dislike it. Ken, grab some coffee and then get ready to talk about whether or not you're wearing pants on the other side, because we're going to talk about that in the context of Jeffrey Toobin and Zoom calls. Ken's done many of them. Has he ever masturbated during them? We'll ask that probing question next. It's the Ken and Mike Hour on Legacy 1160, WSKW.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Center.
If your car is a wreck and you don't know where to go,
take it to Moody's.
You want to get on with your life, get on with the show.
Take it to Moody's.
Good people you can trust, and it won't be a fuss.
Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
MOODY. Your kid was talking on the cell phone, drove right through your own home, sitting in the parking lot. Maybe you get hit a lot, driving through the green light. Suddenly your side swipe, put it in reverse, but it turned out that it was first.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
Hi, it's Joey Joseph from Colebrook Mitsubishi in Skowhegan. While other dealers are just scrambling around trying to drop their prices, increase their services, or offer you more money for your trade-in, Colebrook Mitsubishi has been doing that from day one. And that's precisely how we become the #1 Mitsubishi dealer in all of New England. Whether you've been dreaming of driving a new Mitsubishi Outlander, Eclipse Cross, Outlander Sport, or Mirage, we know that you won't find anyone better to help you out. And don't forget our new Mitsubishis come with the industry's best 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. See us for details. If you've had credit mishaps, come see us and find out how we can help. Everyone deserves a second chance with a nicer, newer ride. Why not choose a small-town dealer with friendly folks to do business with? Small-town dealer with big-time discounts. We wish everyone good health and happiness. You can shop at our facility or online at ColebrookMitsubishi.com with great confidence. Colebrook Mitsubishi, Route 201 in Skowhegan.
Have you been to the website, AugustaMaine.gov/vote? Now's the time to plan your vote, because like everything in 2020, it'll be a little different. I'm Mayor Dave Rollins, and in the time it takes to order at one of our great restaurants downtown, you'll know how to vote in Augusta. Vote absentee using our drop box at City Hall through November 3rd at 8 p.m. You can also mail in your absentee ballot at any post office box, and we recommend mailing before October 27th. You can also vote inside City Hall through October 30th. As always, you can vote in person on Election Day, Tuesday, November 3rd. For ward locations and details, visit augustamaine.gov/vote or call or text the voter hotline at 207-990-0788. There you have it, a menu of options to make sure your voice is heard in Augusta. Now, which restaurant should I go to for lunch?
2020, it's been a tough year and tough to celebrate 25 years in the restaurant business. Hi, this is Brian Langley, chef owner of the Union River Lobster Pot in Ellsworth. When the pandemic hit, we thought that our 25th year might have to be our last. But thankfully, all small businesses had a champion in Maine Senator Susan Collins. Senator Collins immediately went to work and authored the Paycheck Protection Plan. Without question, there was no way we could have survived 2020 without it. Here in our area alone, over 5,000 PPP loans were written. Senator Collins' legislation saved our business and countless others, and the jobs that go with them. So for that reason alone, I'll be voting for Susan Collins. Too many politicians only talk. Senator Susan Collins produces results. Next year, the Union River Lobster Pot will open for its 26th year because of Susan Collins. Susan Collins deserves my vote and your vote on November 3rd. Thank you.
I'm Susan Collins, and I've approved this message.
Paid for by Collins for Senator.
I want to tell you about the incredible items you'll find at Town Line Antiques, but there's no match for seeing them in person and reliving those wonderful memories for yourself. Shop through their great selection of furniture, artwork, classic electronics, sports memorabilia, jewelry, books, glassware, home decor, and so much more. Take home a little something to decorate a room with style. Add to your collection or share wonderful memories of your past with family and friends. Town Line Antiques, open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 to 5, Route 201, right on the Winslow-Vassalboro Town Line.
I'm CBS 13's Jeff Peterson with a news update on Legacy 1160 WSKW. More than 450,000 Mainers have requested absentee ballots, about 61,000 more since last week. That's more than half of the total votes cast in Maine during the 2016 presidential election. Democrats still making the majority of those requests with over 212,000. Republicans have requested about 85,700, and unenrolled voters make up more than 103,000 requests. Number of COVID-19 cases tied to a Maine church and its school is growing. Maine CDC says those infected range from toddlers to the elderly. The number of cases linked to the Brooks Pentecostal Church and its affiliated school now stands at 42, up 10 more than the day before. Dr. Rob Shaw, the CDC, says the outbreak appears to have happened after a gathering on October 2nd and 3rd. They say about 100 to 150 people attended. Some came from churches in other counties. There were also similar gatherings in the days after. Dr. Shaw says masks were available but not routinely used. According to the Maine CDC, there are 27 new cases of the virus. The death toll remains unchanged at 146, and 31 more people have recovered. Workforce conditions continue to recover in September from effects of the pandemic. Maine Department of Labor reports non-farm payroll jobs increased 4,700, and nearly 54,000 jobs have been recovered since the April low. September total remained down nearly 51,000 from February. And positive COVID-19 cases closes Ellsworth Schools and City's adult education program, Ellsworth High School and Elementary and Middle School, plus Hancock Technical Center and Adult Ed will learn virtually today. Superintendent says the person who tested positive is in quarantine. Anyone who had close contact with that person will also quarantine for 14 days. Some good news for Maine farmers hit hard by the drought. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has made farmers all over the state eligible for disaster relief. Almost all of Maine's counties are included in the disaster declaration. This makes it possible to get Farm Service Agency emergency loans. A Livermore Falls brother and sister accused of breaking into a home and beating a man and a woman. Joshua and Lindsay Paulus face several charges, including trespassing and aggravated assault. Our partner's Sun Journal report police found the homeowners covered in blood Friday. One of them had locked themselves in the basement and called 911. Police believe the attack started as a disagreement about money or drugs. Lewiston City Council has approved funding for police body cameras. The city will enter a 5-year contract with a body camera company worth over $500,000. City Council has approved funding for the contract's first year. You probably heard of Impossible Meat. Well, soon there could be Impossible Milk. Company Impossible Foods is known for making plant-based meat look and taste like the real thing, and now they're trying to do it with dairy. The milk is still in the works right now. Company CEO says they're working to make the beverage taste like the real thing. Today, Maine astronaut Chris Cassidy and 2 Russian cosmonauts will return to Earth after 6 months on board the International Space Station. Cassidy is completing his 3rd flight for a total of 378 days in space, the 5th highest total among U.S. astronauts. Perfect for fall. Today is National Pumpkin Cheesecake Day. The first reference of cheesecake appears to date back to ancient Greece around 2000 BC. It was sometimes served as a wedding cake, and there is some evidence it was served to athletes during the first Olympic Games back in 776 BC. And American cheesecake exploded in popularity shortly after cream cheese was invented in 1872. Sports, the Dodgers beat Tampa Bay last night in Game 1 of the World Series. Final score 8-3. LA leads the series 1-0. Game 2 tonight. I'm CBS 13's Jeff Peterson on Legacy 1160 WSKW.
Many things have changed with COVID-19, and Franklin Somerset Federal Credit Union would like to thank all of their members for adhering to the changes. Franklin Somerset Federal Credit Union has moved forward with reopening some of their lobbies. In accordance with appropriate CDC guidelines, the Farmington and Skowhegan branches now have access to limited services in their lobbies. They also highly recommend continued use of their drive-through services, teller phone, night deposit, easy banking, and mobile banking for everyday transactions and appointments for loans or new accounts at both Farmington and Skowhegan, as well as their other branches in Kingfield, Stratton, and Madison. The safety of their members and their staff is of utmost concern. They'd like to thank you for your patience and your cooperation in helping them as we work through these unusual circumstances and develop newer and safer ways to meet your financial needs. Visit them on the web at f-sfcu.com. Franklin Somerset Federal Credit Union, where their most important member is you. Member NCUA and an equal housing lender.
In this election, the health and financial security of voters over 50 are on the line. That's why AARP Maine is fighting for your voice to be heard. From preventing cuts to Social Security, to protecting Medicare, to lowering prescription drug prices, you deserve to cast your vote on the issues that matter to you. And AARP Maine is here to help. If you haven't voted yet, now is the time to learn about your voting options and cast your ballot. We're working to make sure you can vote safely, whether you choose to vote from home or in person. Your voice matters. Make sure it's heard. Go to aarp.org/Maine votes to learn about your voting options and how to vote safely this election. Visit aarp.org/Maine votes today. Paid for by AARP.
I'm CBS 13 meteorologist Lexi O'Connor. This morning, cloudy with areas of fog. Chance for a light shower. Remaining cloudy today with the chance for a light shower. It will be cooler with highs in the mid to upper 50s. Clearing overnight, sunny and nice tomorrow with highs in the mid 60s. Sun and clouds near 60 on Friday. Back to the 60s with the chance for a late day shower on Saturday.
She's a gray one out there. Cloudy 47 in Skowhegan, 49 in Waterville, cloudy 49 degrees in Augusta as well. You are up to date from Legacy 1160 WSKW.
His mediocre high school academic achievements have prepared him nicely for a career in radio.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
It's the Mike Violet Show on Legacy 1160 WSKW.
Good morning, 7:36, that middle of the weekday that we call Wednesday, October 21st, 2020. This is the Mike Violet Show. It's brought to you by Kennebec Electric and Lighting, 861-7028, online, KennebecElectric.com. Stream us on your mobile device, your PC, your tablet, your iPad, Legacy1160.com. That is sponsored by the Harry J. Smith Company. We're all over Facebook, too. Legacy page, my own personal page, the John James page. Hell, I ought to start doing it on the Ken Altshuler page. That's brought to you by Moody's Collision Center. Ken Altshuler, of course, with me. It's the Ken and Mike Hour. And Ken, I know you do all kinds of Zoom stuff. In fact, we've done your podcast together on Zoom. Have you ever masturbated on camera while doing so?
Let's see, should I plead the Fifth Amendment on this? No, the answer is no, never. And I have to, look, I understand that. I guess there's men who have, maybe women too, but mainly men who have urges that are difficult to suppress.
To masturbate in awkward places.
There was a judge in Oklahoma who had a penis pump under his robe during a trial. That's Oklahoma. You know?
Why, is that unique to judges in Oklahoma, having a penis pump under their robe?
Well, you know, when you live in a very repressed state, you know, you act out.
All I can think of is the scene from Austin Powers. Austin Powers, it's not mine, baby.
It's terribly embarrassing, and I have to say that it's kind of like the Fox News guy. I forget it. Was it Brett Holmes who had a pornography page open on his computer and he had not closed it?
Yeah, it was Britt Hume. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hey, we've all been there, you know?
Well, it's like, I know, but you know, you got to be pretty careful. If you are that much of a public figure, you know, I'm sorry, even if you're not, I don't care what you do. Having a meeting with people is probably not the time to pleasure yourself.
Well, I don't know about you. I mean, I like to masturbate as much as the next guy does. I mean, I'm candid about that, but it is, you know, I can pick my spots with it. If I feel compelled to masturbate, I might, if I'm on a Zoom call with someone, I might retire to, say, my bedroom, my bathroom, hell, even a closet that's nearby. Not right there.
Well, my question to you really is, what is it about the Zoom meeting that's so exciting you that you feel compelled right then and there?
Yeah, we all need a little prompting, you know? I mean, you need a little, you know.
My assumption is, and I hate to say this, he found somebody attractive on the phone call and decided that this was he was being stimulated by the participants of the call, which is pretty creepy. Pretty creepy. I mean, look, I love Jeff Toobin. I mean, I love his analysis and stuff, but I'm not going to look at him the same way again. And to be honest with you, even though I believe his analysis is excellent, it loses credibility with me because this guy doesn't have a lot of common sense. So can I really trust his analysis? So, you know, it's one thing to bite a woman in the back in the privacy of your own home and rebound and be a sportscaster.
That's a Marv Albert reference.
And, you know, and I think, you know, listen, he didn't do it while broadcasting a football game. So, excuse me. Before I make that call, I have to go bite this woman. I'll be right back.
Now, I will say this about broadcasting a football game. A number of years ago, while broadcasting a football game, I had to pee. So I did touch my penis while I was broadcasting a football game, but I peed into a bottle and I was in a booth all by myself.
That is disgusting, and I don't know if I can participate in this show any longer.
So I broadcasting, but it was not for that.
No, I just look. Look, you're a male. I don't know if you know that, but
yeah, thanks.
I'm a male. Men do really stupid, bizarre, sexual things all the time.
Yeah.
But when you are, Jeffrey Toobin, and you are, in that kind of public figure, you just learn to control and suppress yourself a little more than that.
So of all people yesterday commenting on Jeffrey Toobin, I'm going to play this sound clip, Ken. You tell me if you know who this is, okay? Here we go.
Damn, Jeffrey Toobin. At least Pee Wee Herman was in an X-rated movie theater. I'm just saying.
Who is that,
Who is
Ken?
that?
That's O.J. Simpson on Twitter yesterday. Who, of course, had a book written about him in the trial. Yes.
Commenting on Jeffrey Toobin.
This is the America we live in right now.
Gee, I wonder if Jeffrey Toobin is a potential suspect in the murder of Nicole Simpson.
I don't know.
You know? And his comment about Pee Wee Herman is very accurate. I mean, at least Pee Wee Herman had the dignity to do it in the privacy of a movie theater.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to get busted for, spanking the monkey, I think it's probably better to get busted in an X-rated movie theater, as OJ said, rather than on a Zoom call with colleagues at your...
Well, I think, let's be honest, I think it's more socially acceptable in an X-rated movie theater than it is on a Zoom call with your... your
colleagues. Now, Pee Wee Herman has, I think, somewhat recovered from that, although his career, kind of mediocre, if it's even still going on at all. The question is, can a liberal legal analyst bounce back? I think there's a much better chance of him reappearing somewhere, don't take that the wrong way, than it would be if it were, say, a conservative right-wing legal analyst.
Well, I think that there are, look, Pee Wee Herman was, did entertainment for children. I think that, made it a little more
creepy.
Concern. If the movie theater was public, it was an X-rated theater, but I think it's different. I think that but listen, I know that conservatives think that liberals get a free pass in the media, and maybe they do. I think that Jeffrey Toobin could bounce back, but I think that he loses his credibility, and I think we're talking about a fairly long period of time, maybe a year, before he should show his face anywhere or anything else. By the way.
You and I have been in talk radio for 20 or so years. I talked yesterday about the fact that I probably wouldn't be sitting here in this chair behind this microphone if it weren't for Rush Limbaugh. Rush is fighting cancer, and it is getting worse. He announced that the other day. Rush, of course, was on the station we were on in Portland, WGAN, and still is, delivered tremendous ratings, tremendous revenue. Agree or disagree with me that without Rush Limbaugh, you and I never would have done a show?
Oh, I absolutely agree with you. And you may recall that in the early 90s, I actually, the first talk radio I listened to was Dr. Dean Adele.
Yes.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know how I ever listened to his show, but I actually used to listen to Dean Adele in the late 80s, but he was not political. Rush Limbaugh broke the mold. And I used to love listening to Rush for two reasons. First of all, in the early 90s, he was very independent. He was conservative, but he was not, he was a maverick. He was a John McCain. He was like, didn't go with the flow of Republican thought. He was kind of independent. He also allowed me the opportunity to hear the other side. I mean, it's one thing to debate somebody, who's a conservative views, in a bar. It's another thing to hear it from somebody who is very smart, very articulate, and very entertaining. And Rush mastered that. I thought he was fabulous. Now, I think when he joined the George W. bandwagon in 2000, and I think he became much more of a mainstream Republican. I think he lost some of his uniqueness. But I think, look, Rush was first and foremost entertaining, second, intelligent, and third, articulate. That's a great combination for radio. And he made talk radio what it is today. There's no doubt that you and I would not have. I mean, we had talk radio at WGAN before you and I came along.
Oh, yes.
But it was a blip on the screen. And then when Rush got on WGAN, that certainly made WGAN the talk radio show. I mean, let's be honest. It was one of the few AM stations in the country that was first in its market. And you got to credit Rush Limbaugh for that.
You do. He made careers possible. He was, we call him the Godfather, and justifiably so, because everything that we do now is because of Rush Limbaugh being there ahead of time, even for liberal talk show hosts. And there aren't very many of you guys anymore. That's for sure. Fewer and far between us, certainly, for us to do a show that we did, Ken, even here now, with some balance on it, is a very unusual thing, because normally now the world of talk radio is taken over by right-wing lunatics like me.
Yeah, and I think it's, I don't call you a right-wing lunatic, but I think it's really unfortunate. Look, we've talked when I got fired from WGAN, that the thought, the theory that you should have a Fox News radio station. You have plenty of liberals on your show. You have Ethan, you have me, I don't know anybody you would not let come on the show and talk to you. I think that you have to do that. And I think that, I don't think WGAN does that anymore. They may have some token Democrats or liberals, but really it is a Fox News radio show now. And I've never been entertained by people saying what I already agree with. When I didn't listen to Air America very much because I found
nobody else did either.
Look, I don't need cheerleaders. I don't need people preaching to the converted. When you and I talk about coronavirus, your perspective is important to hear, because it's the other side. And if I'm just listening to people who agree with me, then I start believing everything I think is absolutely correct and there's no other perspective, which is just not true. You have to be open to the other side. You have to listen to the other side before you formulate an opinion. It's perfectly okay to be conservative, but if you're not willing to hear both sides of it, then you're stuck in your dogma and you're never going to think clearly.
When was the last time, if at all, you voted for a Republican?
You mean besides the person who ran against Brownie Carson, who I don't remember his name?
Yeah, apparently, yes.
Yes, I voted for whoever ran against Brownie Carson 2 years ago. It could have been a man. It could have been a woman. It was a Republican. I don't know who it was.
And
but I was so incensed at Brownie Carson as the senator from Freeport, I could not bear to vote for him again.
And I'm assuming that person lost.
I don't even know who it was, but that person did lose. Brownie Carson is not running again, so I don't have to worry.
Okay.
I was going to run against Brownie if he ran.
Oh,
again.
come on.
And Brownie was like, and I hate to say this, a lot like Ethan Stremling in that so stuck in his way of thinking that there was no other side, no other perspective.
Right.
I just thought he was out of touch with reality. I've not voted for many Republicans. I have voted for some. I supported John Anderson in 1980. Now, he was an independent at the time, but he was clearly conservative. I actually, believe it or not, in 1968, I campaigned for Eugene McCarthy and for Nelson Rockefeller at the same time.
Wow.
How do you like that?
What happened there?
I actually went to Wichita, Kansas on a Nelson Rockefeller bus to attend a campaign rally and to distribute leaflets in 1968 when I was 16 years old.
Wow. By the way,
Yeah.
the person you voted for against Brownie Carson, Diana Garcia.
Really?
Yeah, Republican. Yeah.
She didn't win, did she?
He got 68% of the vote. She didn't.
Yeah, that's pretty poor.
So you really roped in a winning horse there.
But look, I'm an unabashed liberal. I don't actually vote party, and I didn't vote for Obama in 2008, as you recall.
I do recall.
I wrote in Hillary's name. I did not like how the Democrats treated Hillary, and I could not vote for Obama, although I knew he was going to win, so it was not a terrible decision.
So some would say you pulled a Susan Collins there. You knew you could get away with it.
Probably. And remember, I was a strong supporter in the 2000s of Ralph Nader running for president. People thought I was a little crazy.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Yeah. So, maybe I ought to wait till next week for this, but I won't anyway. Give me one possible surprise in Maine on Election Day when it comes to results.
Well, I don't think there'll be a Dale Craft surprise.
No.
I think the surprise could be Susan Collins winning by a comfortable margin because everybody's, you look at 538, they're still saying it's leaning Democrat, leaning toward Gideon. I just don't see that. And I think one surprise could be Susan winning by more than people anticipated her winning, which is why I'm still giving her the edge, even though people scratch their heads and look at it. I think whether or not the referenda in Portland all die, I'm not sure that's going to be a surprise. I think they'll go down, and that may surprise some people because Portland's viewed as such a liberal Soviet Union satellite country.
Well,
so those would be the two. I don't think there's going to be a lot of surprises. I don't think Trump's going to win the second district. That may be a surprise, but I don't see that happen.
Yeah, it's going to be tight, but I actually do think your hypothesis, your prediction about Susan Collins winning, not only winning, but winning by more than a lot of us think or a lot of people think, I think that's got a definite chance. I really do. I really agree with that. I think this is, it's not like I think anything is going to, quote, happen, as far as an incident or something like that between now and Election Day. Other than I think people, once they get in there, those undecideds, I think they will break her away just because of familiarity.
Exactly. I think you're spot on. I think you get in that voting booth and you look at Susan Collins and Sarah Gideon and you say, I know Susan. I'm familiar with Susan. I'm pissed off at her about some things, but at the end of the day, doesn't she do something for Maine? I'm just going to vote for her again. I think that could very easily happen. And I think that may surprise people. I don't think Jared's going to win by as much as you think. And I know you're just trying to make a point that Gail's running a pretty bad campaign and George running a good one. I think it'll be 55-45. I don't think it's going to be that wide of a margin, but that's a pretty big margin for the second district.
And Dale will be with me next hour, by the way. Dale Crafts at 8:38. About Susan Collins and Sarah Gideon here, and we'll close it down here in a couple of minutes. As a liberal, a card-carrying liberal, but not an off-the-wall crazy liberal, somebody who I think does have some sort of admiration for Susan Collins. What's your big complaint about her?
Her Kavanaugh vote.
The Kavanaugh vote?
Yeah, that's really, I mean, look, Susan's been consistent about voting for Supreme Court judges if they're qualified. And I'm not saying that Kavanaugh was not legally qualified in terms of his ability to be a judge. And it wasn't even the Professor Ford allegation, because I think that they were not proved, and therefore you can't disqualify him. I think his performance during the Senate confirmation hearings was abysmal, and that judicial temperament. And look, we don't know how judges are behind closed doors, right? We don't know how Amy Barrett is behind closed doors. Don't go there, Mike. Don't go there. The point is this. Kavanaugh displayed judicial temperament that we just shouldn't have on the bench. I think it was a mistake, and I think she shouldn't have voted to confirm him. I don't care about her vote about impeaching Trump. I think that was a stupid thing to do. I think the PPP, she didn't write it, but she was still supportive. You know, she was involved in it. I don't think she wants to get rid of Medicare and taxes. I think that's stupid. The Kavanaugh vote would be the one black mark, I think. And her saying that Donald Trump has learned his lesson, that's stupid. But I don't blame her for voting to not impeach him.
Well, Susan says she thought he'd seen the error of his ways and he was going to behave himself now. That's like expecting him to stay composed tomorrow night when the mute button is on, you know?
I can't wait to talk to you about this on Friday.
We'll do it Friday morning on That's a Wrap at 7:08. That's a wrap for now, Ken. Keep your pants on, my friend. And
thank you for that sound advice, guys.
Unless Linda wants them off, that's totally up to you guys. Whatever you do, out of a Zoom meeting is fine with me.
Privacy without a Zoom meeting.
Exactly. See you Friday, pal.
Take care.
All right, there he is, Ken Altshuler. Did the entire segment without masturbating, as far as we know. I mean, I don't know. There's no camera on. Thank you. It's 7:55. Bill and Ethan agree to disagree. The boys are back next. I'm Mike Violet on Legacy 1160 WSKW.
For the last year, I've traveled to every corner of our state and gotten to see up close what makes Maine so special. It's our people. Thank you for having me in your communities, in your homes, in your businesses, and for sharing your stories and challenges with me. Washington is broken, that's clear, but I truly believe it doesn't have to be that way. As Speaker of the House, I was able to get things done by putting politics aside and working together with both parties. That's how we extended healthcare protections for people with pre-existing conditions. That's how we put a cap on the out-of-control cost of insulin. That's how we took real action against climate change. And how we passed the first direct property tax relief in years. I'm Sarah Gideon, and I approve this message because it would be the honor of a lifetime to get to be your voice in the Senate. I'm ready to get to work for Maine. Paid for by Sarah Gideon for Maine.
Hi, this is Kim, Scott Searway's daughter. I am so proud of my dad. He has spent his whole life working on behalf of others, stepping up to help people in any way he can. During his law enforcement career and his time in the legislature, he has always worked to build a stronger community, going out of his way to figure out how he can provide people with a hand up to improve their lives. He is a dedicated family man, a community member, and just who we need representing us in the state Senate.
Thank you, Kim. I'm running for re-election this year so I can keep working hard for all of you in this community I care so much about. Having spent nearly 3 decades in law enforcement, keeping our communities safe and supporting our first responders are among my top priorities. I know COVID-19 has impacted all of us, and I'm committed to reviving Maine jobs and livelihoods. I'm Senator Scott Searway, and it would be an honor to have your vote this year.
Paid for and authorized by COA for Senate, Alan Rowe, Treasurer.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Center.
If your car is a wreck and and you don't know where to go.
Take it to Moody's.
You wanna get on with your life, get on with the show.
Take it to Moody's.
Good people you can trust, and it won't be a fuss.
Take it to Moody's. Collision Centers.
M-O-O-D-Y. Your kid was talking on the cell phone, drove right through your own home, sitting in the parking lot. Maybe you get hit a lot, driving through the green light. Suddenly your side swipe, put it in reverse, but it turned out that it was first.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's. Collision Centers.
I want to tell you about all of the incredible items you can find at Townline Antiques, but there's no substitute for seeing them in person and reliving those wonderful memories for yourself. Now's the perfect time to shop through their great selection of furniture, artwork, classic electronics, sports memorabilia, jewelry, books, glassware, home decor, and so much more. Take home something to decorate a room with style, add to your collection, or share wonderful memories of your past with family and friends. Townline Antiques, open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 to 5, Route 201, right on the Winslow-Vassaboro Town Line.
From the Home Auto Group Studios, Farmington Ford and Franklin Chrysler in Farmington. This is WSKW, Skowhegan, Augusta, Waterville, Legacy 1160.
ABC News, I'm Faith Abube. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin expected to resume talks today for a COVID-19 relief package. But Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell talking about the size of the bill, saying House Democrats want too much, even though the White House is also looking for a much larger relief package.
If such a deal were to clear the House, obviously with a presidential signature promised, we would put it on the floor of the Senate and let the Senate consider it. The Democratic argument appears to continue to be, if we can't have everything we want, we won't allow anything to pass.
Reportedly told GOP lawmakers he advised the White House not to strike a deal before Election Day. As confirmed COVID-19 cases in the U.S. surpass 8.2 million, a CDC study finds that hospitalized patients with COVID-19 are 5 times more likely to die compared to hospitalized patients with the flu. This is ABC News. 7 people taken into custody in France after the murder of a teacher who showed students caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad. They're expected in court today. Investigators have launched a terror investigation. The 18-year-old who killed the teacher was shot and killed by police. A racial slur has cost a Marine general his command. ABC's Martha Raddatz has the story.
The investigation is not over, but 2-star Major General Stephen Neary, head of Marine Corps forces in Europe and Africa, has already been stripped of his command, accused of using a racial epithet at a training session in Germany. A U.S. official confirming details in an account in Stars and Stripes that Marines were jolted when a Lance Corporal says they heard the commander use a racial slur at the August event.
NASA's OSIRIS-REx spacecraft touching down on an asteroid, scooping up dirt and lifting off again, all in a matter of a few seconds. Faith Abube, ABC News.
I worry about lots of things. My finances, my grandkids.
If you're 65 or older, you have enough things to worry about. Pneumococcal pneumonia shouldn't be one of them. Even healthy adults 65 and older are at increased risk for this potentially serious bacterial lung disease that can disrupt your life for weeks. Help protect yourself with the Prevnar 13 pneumococcal 13 valent conjugate vaccine, diphtheria CRM 197 protein. Prevnar 13 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 13 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Prevnar 13 does not protect against all strains of the disease. Don't get Prevnar 13 if you have had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with a weakened immune system may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-866-694-9300 or visit Prevnar13.com. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 13.
I'm CBS 13's Jeff Peterson with a news update on Legacy 1160 WSKW. More than 450,000 Mainers have requested absentee ballots, about 61,000 more since last week. That's more than half of the total votes cast in Maine during the 2016 presidential election. Democrats still making the majority of those requests with over 212,000. Republicans have requested about 85,700, and unenrolled voters make up more than 103,000 requests. Number of COVID-19 cases tied to a Maine church and its school is growing. Maine CDC says those infected range from toddlers to the elderly. The number of cases linked to the Brooks Pentecostal Church and its affiliated school now stands at 42, up 10 more than the day before. Dr. Rob Shaw, the CDC, says the outbreak appears to have happened after a gathering on October 2nd and 3rd. They say about 100 to 150 people attended. Some came from churches in other counties. There were also similar gatherings in the days after. Dr. Shaw says masks were available, but not routinely used. According to the Maine CDC, there are 27 new cases of the virus. The death toll remains unchanged at 146, and 31 more people have recovered. Workforce conditions continue to recover in September from effects of the pandemic. Maine Department of Labor reports non-farm payroll jobs increased 4,700, and nearly 54,000 jobs have been recovered since the April low. September total remained down nearly 51,000 from February. And positive COVID-19 cases closes Ellsworth Schools and City's adult education program, Ellsworth High School and Elementary Middle School, plus Hancock Technical Center and Adult Ed will learn virtually today. Superintendent says the person who tested positive is in quarantine. Anyone who had close contact with that person will also quarantine for 14 days. Some good news for Maine farmers hit hard by the drought. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has made farmers all over the state eligible for disaster relief. Almost all of Maine's counties are included in the disaster declaration. This makes it possible to get Farm Service Agency emergency loans. A Livermore Falls brother and sister accused of breaking into a home and beating a man and a woman. Joshua and Lindsay Paulus face several charges, including trespassing and aggravated assault. Our partner's Sun-Journal report police found the homeowners covered in blood Friday. One of them had locked themselves in the basement and called 911. Police believe the attack started as a disagreement about money or drugs. Lewiston City Council has approved funding for police body cameras. The city will enter a 5-year contract with a body camera company worth over $500,000. City Council has approved funding for the contract's first year. You've probably heard of Impossible Meat. Well, soon there could be Impossible Milk. Company Impossible Foods is known for making plant-based meat look and taste like the real thing, and now they're trying to do it with dairy. The milk is still in the works right now. Company CEO says they're working to make the beverage taste like the real thing. Today, Maine astronaut Chris Cassidy and 2 Russian cosmonauts will return to Earth after 6 months on board the International Space Station. Cassidy is completing his 3rd flight for a total of 378 days in space, the 5th highest total among U.S. astronauts. Perfect for fall. Today is National Pumpkin Cheesecake Day. The first reference of cheesecake appears to date back to ancient Greece around 2000 BC. It was sometimes served as a wedding cake, and there is some evidence it was served to athletes during the first Olympic Games back in 776 BC. And American cheesecake exploded in popularity shortly after cream cheese was invented in 1872. Sports, the Dodgers beat Tampa Bay last night in Game 1 of the World Series. Final score 8-3. LA leads the series 1-0. Game 2 tonight. I'm CBS 13's Jeff Peterson on Legacy 1160 WSKW.
Sales and service by a family who cares. Whittemore and Sons, Whittemore and Sons.
There are some things you can simply never depend on, like getting your morning coffee just the way you like it every day. I mean, you order it the same way. How is it different today? But know that you can always count on Whittemore & Sons in our line of Coyote tractors. Coyote tractors are machines made to work, whether it's mowing, tilling, digging, lifting, or hauling. Check out the full line of tough and versatile Coyote tractors, attachments, implements, and accessories at Whittemore & Sons, your Coyote tractor dealer, with dependable sales in service for over 50 years. Run ahead of the pack with a Coyote tractor from Whittemore & Sons on the Waterville Road in Skowhegan. Sales and service by a family who cares.
From work to fun, we'll help you get it done. Whittemore & Sons, outdoor power equipment.
In this election, the health and financial security of voters over 50 are on the line. That's why AARP Maine is fighting for your voice to be heard. From preventing cuts to Social Security, to protecting Medicare, to lowering prescription drug prices, you deserve to cast your vote on the issues that matter to you. And AARP Maine is here to help. If you haven't voted yet, now is the time to learn about your voting options and cast your ballot. We're working to make sure you can vote safely whether you choose to vote from home or in person. Your voice matters. Make sure it's heard. Go to aarp.org/Maine votes to learn about your voting options and how to vote safely this election. Visit aarp.org/Maine votes today. Paid for by AARP.
And Sarah Gideon for Senator Radio. Take one.
As a lifelong Mainer, I make it my...
Cut. Sarah, you were born in Rhode Island, so let's try take two, okay?
I'm Sarah Gideon, and I don't take corporate money.
Cut. Sarah, the research team says you did take corporate money, even though you tell us you don't. Let's keep going. Take three.
I'm Sarah Gideon, and on taxes...
Cut. Let's not go there. Sarah, you've tried 86 times to raise taxes and fees on everything from healthcare to heating oil to snowmobiles. So let's just move on to take four.
I'm working every day to...
Cut. You sent the legislature home 6 months ago and haven't done anything since then.
They don't need to know that.
Shut it down. Sarah, let's just toss this thing to someone who actually never stops working for Maine.
I'm Susan Collins, candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Collins for Senator.
I'm CBS 13 meteorologist Lexi O'Connor. This morning, cloudy with areas of fog. Chance for a light shower. Remaining cloudy today with the chance for a light shower. It will be cooler with highs in the mid to upper 50s. Clearing overnight, sunny and nice tomorrow with highs in the mid 60s. Sun and clouds near 60 on Friday. Back to the 60s with the chance for a late day shower on Saturday.
Thank you, Lexi. Cloudy. We've got 46 in Skowhegan, 47 in Waterville. Cloudy, 47 degrees as well in Augusta. You're up to date. From Maine's Heritage Station, Legacy 1160 WSKW.
There's fire and ice, oil and water, black and white, Republican and Democrat. Phil Harriman and Ethan Strimling will agree to disagree. Thank you very much. It's Agree to Disagree on The Mike Violet Show on Legacy 1160 WSKW.
Yes, indeed it is. It is 8:10. And before we begin this morning with Phil Harriman and Ethan Strimling, I want everyone to know that we have independent fact checkers at both locations. And right now, those independent fact checkers have told me that neither Ethan or Phil are pleasuring themselves while we do this right now. Phil, does that mean you agree with the independent fact checker?
I do. Yes, indeed, I do.
All right, and Ethan, you too?
I got no comment on that. Every one of your listeners just spit their coffee out.
That's the goal, Phil. That's the goal, my friend. Okay, here we go. Item number one this morning as we hit the bell. They're going to have debate number two tomorrow night in Nashville, Tennessee. What are we expecting to see, Phil Harriman, with a mute button in place?
Well, I think that's somewhat of a power grab by the moderator or whoever's going to have the authority to mute them. But it is what it is. So both candidates have to accept that that's the way the game is going to be played. I hope that what we see is that Joe Biden has the opportunity to speak and let us hear all his great ideas and how he's going to implement them, because basically he's going to not raise taxes on anyone except unless you make a lot of money. And he's going to lower healthcare costs, and he's going to get rid of the COVID virus, et cetera, et cetera. I want to hear how he's going to do that specifically. And on Donald Trump's side, I just want him to be presidential. Get your point across in as few words as possible, and then zip it.
How is a mute button going to be affecting this tomorrow night, Ethan? Is Donald Trump going to be able to take it? Ken thinks he's just going to go right over and grab Joe Biden by the neck, you know?
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. When Phil indicated who has power, it's clear. It's the same rule for both. There's a mute button that's going to be on when they're giving their first 2-minute answer, and then the mute button is off, and they're allowed to interrupt each other. So I think that's fair. Obviously, Trump's behavior in the first debate has changed the game. I'm hoping that tomorrow night we get more of what we got last time, because we saw Donald Trump, numbers go from down 7 points to down 10 points within 2 weeks of that last debate. It was the most disastrous presidential debate in the history of presidential debates. So I hope he goes out and tries to do it again. I hope he does interrupt and do all the stuff that he always wants to do, because it's clear about his character, his inability to be presidential. I love Phil. Phil's been asking for Donald Trump to be presidential for 5 years now, and it has never happened. It's not going to happen on Thursday night because it's simply not in his blood, and he is not presidential. So I'm looking forward to lots of fireworks. I'm going to have popcorn, and I'm trying to figure out what drinking game I'm going to play.
And Phil, what I'd like him to do, forget about the being presidential stuff. I'd like him to be the Donald Trump of 2016 who debated Hillary Clinton. I would settle for that. What about you?
Yeah. I think for him to dominate every question and push back on Biden and on the moderator, his message didn't get out, and he irritated me. And I'm not easily irritated.
Well, you hang around with Ethan all the time. That's obvious.
That's my point. That's exactly my point. If I could put up with him.
Phil's one of the most tolerant people I know, and even he was, ready to pull his hair out after the last debate. Like I said, that's what I expect is going to happen. I mean, why would anything change at this point? Donald Trump needs a Hail Mary to figure out how to get back in this game. No. The Hail Mary for Donald Trump is never to be quiet and try to sit back.
Maybe an Our Father would help too. All right, let's move on to item number 2. Back here in Maine, the Gideon Collins race. And man, oh man, Sarah Gideon printing money now. She's at about $40 million for the quarter compared to Susan Collins' $8 million. As somebody wrote here, was Pink Floyd right, Ethan Strimling? Money is a crime?
Money is a crime. Yeah, you got to pull out that clip. But boy, oh boy, look, I mean, there's nobody. Democratic Party has fought for a long time to try to get money out of politics. We should get money out of politics.
Right.
It's clear that, the entire country is looking at this race and has recognized that Susan Collins simply is not the person who she claimed to be. There never would have been this kind of money in previous elections against her. The last 4 years, she has done remarkable damage because that moderate image that she was trying to portray, the curtain just got pulled back, and the Wizard of Oz made very clear that she is not that moderate. People want her out. Good for Sarah Gideon. She's doing what she has to do in order to make sure that happens.
Phil Harriman, is Susan Collins now some evil clown staring up from a sewer grate like Ethan says she is?
Wow, I'm just, I sure hope that the voters know what's at stake here. Susan Collins is next in line to become the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee. If you think that having someone in Washington with the seniority to make sure that Maine's funding needs for schools and transportation and Bath Iron Works and Portsmouth, Kittery Shipyard, et cetera, matters, this vote matters more than ever before. I also want to touch on what you were saying, Michael. I've done 2 interviews in the last few weeks with international correspondents, one from a television station in Austria, and yesterday from a leading newspaper in Denmark. The world is watching this race because the implications of the Senate flipping to the D's is huge.
I noticed on Twitter this morning that the hashtag Phil Harriman was trending in Denmark, and I wondered why. And now here's an explanation for it. Okay, staying in Maine, and speaking of money, fellas, we're going to have Dale Crafts on the show after you guys this morning, by the way, at 8:38 this morning. We're hearing that the national backers on the Republican side have pulled the plug on this race. I don't know if that's true or not, Phil Harriman, but is this race over in CD2 between Dale Crafts and Jared Golden?
Well, I don't know. Frankly, the candidate Dale Crafts is a man of integrity. He's got the charisma. He's got the pedigree. He's got public service experience. He's got small business knowledge and experience. He is a well-qualified candidate, and he's got to find a way to get his message out louder and wider. And if in fact the support for him out of the National Congressional Committee has pulled away, it does indicate that he's not polling strong enough for them to continue to focus on this, because they've got 424 other races, 434 races around the country to focus on.
Ethan Schrimling?
Yeah, it's not if. They did. The House Republican PAC pulled out last week, and now the House Democratic PAC has decided that this race is good. Jared's got tons of TV time scheduled, and literally Dale Crafts almost nothing. So when you talk to him, ask him what's going on here. How's he going to win without any TV? National group's not helping. He just never really had much fire. Obviously, the guy's got, good pedigree. He's got a great story to tell. But he made some really bad blunders, claiming that he voted for the LePage tax cuts when he didn't, and claiming that he had the endorsement of Sam when he didn't, and then running an ad attacking Jared for a position that Jared clearly doesn't have. I mean, these are real rookie mistakes. I don't know who his advisors are. I don't know if Brent Littlefield's behind him or who it is, but really, really bad mistakes. But I don't know. He just didn't quite have the fire that he needed.
All right, let's leave that there. And again, Dale Crafts, I will ask him about those things coming up here at 8:38 this morning. We had Vice President Mike Pence in the state yesterday at Dysart, or the day before. And, of course, Governor Mills has come out and criticized the vice president for breaking, laws or whatever, her declaration of emergency because of the lack of masks and the number of people there, no social distancing. Phil Harriman, does she have a legitimate complaint?
Well, I think it was more of a political opportunity. I didn't hear her taking to the airwaves making the same claims when the Black Lives Matters was demonstrating on Commercial Street in Portland. And if you read the invitation to the Pence event, it made it very clear you should wear masks and social distance, et cetera, et cetera. This was an outdoor event. It was well attended. I think it is a clear indication of the enthusiasm for the vice president in the 2nd Congressional District.
Ethan?
Yeah, the invitation said wear masks and social distance, and then they enforced none of it once the event happened. And
how are you going to enforce it?
Look, you went to an event with Trump, and you told me they enforced it. You were required to wear a mask when you were inside, et cetera, and you went through those procedures.
They suggested that you wear a mask.
Well, you told me that people were doing it, but if they weren't, that's part of the problem that we're seeing. People can have events in which people can socially distance and can wear masks. And good for Janet Mills. Janet Mills has stayed out of the politics of all of this. She's made very clear, whether you're a wedding in Millinocket or a preacher in Sanford or the vice president of the United States of America, these rules apply to you because COVID applies, and she doesn't want to see another outbreak. I mean, look how fast it's happening in
But Ethan, to jump in here, Phil is right with the Black Lives Matter rallies that happened in Portland in the summer. She was completely silent on those. You know that there was a lack of masks and certainly no social distancing. We had the homeless people on the steps of City Hall. Come on.
Actually, I don't think you're right about her being silent around the Black Lives Matter.
She was.
Some of those protests, most people were actually wearing masks at them, but that's fine. Let's make sure that we're clear. Everybody should be doing it. But Mike Pence is vice president of the United States. He sets an example for the entire country. Just like the president, he needs to stand up and say, this virus can kill anyone, including the person, his running mate, right? Almost killed his running mate. So let's be clear. Let's stop playing these games. Waldo County, totally rural. All of a sudden, a huge outbreak. This thing is just wiping us out if we aren't more careful.
Well, the huge outbreak might be a little bit much. I'm not sure it's a huge outbreak. I want to play a hypothetical game here, guys. This was not on the list of topics, but I think you both can handle it. And I'll direct it at you, Ethan Schrimling. I did this with Ken earlier this morning during the Ken and Mike hour. When it comes to Susan Collins, Ken and I agreed, I'm sure Phil would, and maybe even you, that when it comes to the appropriations, where Susan Collins would be the chair of that committee, but even in the last 25 years, she has delivered for the state of Maine. The bacon has been brought home. So if the Kavanaugh thing were not there, and I know to you it's huge, Ethan, but try for a second to take it out of the mix and talk about Susan Collins. What would be your argument against Susan Collins if Kavanaugh wasn't a thing?
I think it's more about Trump than it is about Kavanaugh. I mean, Kavanaugh was a piece of it, but she just hasn't risen up to the moment. And sure, appropriations are important, and she runs ad about, tick-borne illnesses and getting money for this, and those are important, but you're just not stepping up to the moment. She's not understanding
what moment?
The moment of Donald Trump and being willing to stand up to this man and hold him accountable in a way that Maine people expected him to
Okay,
be
but
held
I told
accountable.
you to take the Kavanaugh thing out of it. That's what I think you're thinking about here.
I didn't say I did. I'm not saying I haven't said Kavanaugh once.
Okay,
I
so
said Trump.
so what should she stand up against him about?
She needs to hold him accountable
For
all of the behavior, for whether it's the tax cuts in terms of policy, whether it's the impeachment hearing. It's. I think what Republicans and you, Mike, don't understand is this is about her rising up to this moment. If she is truly an independent and truly a moderate, the issue now is when she would stand up and prove that. She stood up to George Bush more than she stood up to Donald Trump. That's the issue that Maine people are seeing. She's portrayed herself one way. It's become clear she is not that person.
Phil, you want to take a whack at this?
Yeah, I think if you take the Kavanaugh vote out of the equation, Sarah Gideon wouldn't have been handed millions of dollars to launch her campaign. There wouldn't be this coordinated, orchestrated, oligarch-funded dollars descending upon the state of Maine. Sarah Gideon brought in $38 million in a quarter. She can't even spend that money fast enough. That money could have gone a long ways to take care of homelessness, food insecurity, opioid addiction, et cetera, et cetera. This is outrageous what is happening to our state. And from my perspective, you can find many examples of Susan Collins standing up to Donald Trump, whether it's on the border wall funding, on the issues surrounding environmental standards, emission standards. She stood up to him on the COVID. Amy Bryant, whatever her name.
Yeah, and that's where I actually want to go now, fellas. The president hammered Senator Collins for not backing Amy Coney Barrett the other day. Is that good for him, Ethan Strimling, or bad for her, or both, or something? I don't know.
Well, I think it's good for her, good for him. I don't think, it's interesting. I think some people feel like, oh, this is going to make it look like she's been more moderate, maybe. But, him depressing the turnout, she needs more than anything in the world to have as big a Republican turnout for her as she possibly can. She's lost, obviously, all the Democratic support that she used to gain, and she is losing well over a majority of independents. So her only path is huge support among Republicans, 91, 92% of them voting for her, and a huge turnout. Donald Trump telling people that he doesn't like her, that doesn't help him.
Yeah, Phil Herron?
Yeah, I think that is a valid point by Ethan. She needs to have the Republicans come home and support her. And I know she's taken a lot of heat from Republicans because she has stood up to Donald Trump. And they're going to have a choice. If you don't vote for Susan Collins, you are going to send Sarah Gideon, a nice person, inexperienced, to start at the bottom of the seniority list in the U.S. Senate at a transformational time, as you say, Ethan, when Susan Collins be one of the most influential and powerful people in the United States Senate.
Yeah, it'd be another thing, fellas, if we actually had another senator who actually had some power and delivered something. But, of course, we know Angus King is not that. Lastly, gentlemen, your column in the Bangor Daily News and BangorDailyNews.com this week.
We do our final take on the Susan Collins, Sarah Gideon race. We don't give our predictions because that's not happened until the final column before the election, but this is our final stab at my convincing Phil to vote for Sarah Gideon. I think I came pretty close.
All right, fellas, thanks. Thanks for your time, and you can put your pants back on now, okay?
Agree to Disagree with Phil Harriman and Ethan Strimling can also be seen every week in the Bangor Daily News and on BangorDailyNews.com.
Road to the White House With more than 200,000 pandemic deaths on his watch, the president continued his attacks on Joe Biden, rallying in Erie, Pennsylvania last night.
Biden will delay therapies, postpone the vaccine, prolong the pandemic, close your schools, shut down our country.
In a sit-down with Sinclair's America this week with Eric Bolling, the president was asked what he'd do differently if he had a do-over on the pandemic.
Not much. Look, it's all over the world. You have a lot of great leaders. There are a lot of smart people. It's all over the world.
With Joe Biden prepping for Thursday's debate, Kamala Harris has been the face of the Democratic ticket the last 2 days, on hand in Wisconsin for the first day of early voting there.
We vote because we know what's at stake, from healthcare to the economy, to the standing of our nation and the unity of our nation. And we vote because we know our power.
The election in less than 2 weeks. Richard Cantu, ABC News.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Center.
If your car is a wreck and you don't know where to go,
take it to Moody's.
You wanna get on with your life, get on with the show.
Take it to Moody's.
Good people you can trust, and it won't be a fuss.
Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
MOODY. Your kid was talking on the cell phone, drove right through your own home, sitting in the parking lot. Maybe you get hit a lot, driving through the green light. Suddenly your side swipe, put it in reverse, but it turned out that it was first.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
This is President Barack Obama. In Maine, you've got a big responsibility this year. Not only are you choosing who represents you in Washington, you could also determine which party controls the Senate. That's why I'm proud to endorse Sarah Gideon. From her work to lower the cost of healthcare and prescription drugs to tax relief she's helped provide for middle-class Mainers, Sarah has brought people together to get things done. Now, the challenges we face as a country are great, and we need leaders like Sarah who are looking out for working families. Without her, Republicans might maintain control of the Senate. But you can help elect Sarah Gideon and make sure if Joe Biden wins, he'll have a Senate ready to work with him to move our country forward. Sarah will always be a strong voice for Maine and is exactly the type of leader we need in Washington. Again, this is President Barack Obama. I hope you'll join me in supporting her for Senate.
I'm Sarah Gideon, running for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Sarah Gideon for Maine.
I'm CBS 13's Jeff Peterson with a news update on Legacy 1160 WSKW. More than 450,000 Mainers have requested absentee ballots, about 61,000 more since last week. That's more than half of the total votes cast in Maine during the 2016 presidential election. Democrats still making the majority of those requests with over 212,000. Republicans have requested about 85,700, and unenrolled voters make up more than 103,000 requests. Number of COVID-19 cases tied to a Maine church and its school is growing. Maine CDC says those infected range from toddlers to the elderly. The number of cases linked to the Brooks Pentecostal Church and its affiliated school now stands at 42, up 10 more than the day before. Dr. Rav Shah, the CDC, says the outbreak appears to have happened after a gathering on October 2nd and 3rd. They say about 100 to 150 people attended. Some came from churches in other counties. There were also similar gatherings in the days after. Dr. Shah says masks were available but not routinely used. According to the Maine CDC, there are 27 new cases of the virus. The death toll remains unchanged at 146, and 31 more people have recovered. Workforce conditions continue to recover in September from effects of the pandemic. Maine Department of Labor reports non-farm payroll jobs increased 4,700, and nearly 54,000 jobs have been recovered since the April low. September total remained down nearly 51,000 from February. And positive COVID-19 cases closes Ellsworth Schools and City's adult education program, Ellsworth High School and Elementary Middle School, plus Hancock Technical Center and Adult Ed will learn virtually today. Superintendent says the person who tested positive is in quarantine. Anyone who had close contact with that person will also quarantine for 14 days. Some good news for Maine farmers hit hard by the drought. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has made farmers all over the state eligible for disaster relief. Almost all of Maine's counties are included in the disaster declaration. This makes it possible to get Farm Service Agency emergency loans. Livermore Falls brother and sister accused of breaking into a home and beating a man and a woman. Joshua and Lindsay Paulus face several charges, including trespassing and aggravated assault. Our partners, Sun Journal report police found the homeowners covered in blood Friday. One of them had locked themselves in the basement and called 911. Police believe the attack started as a disagreement about money or drugs. Lewiston City Council has approved funding for police body cameras. The city will enter a 5-year contract with a body camera company worth over $500,000. City Council has approved funding for the contract's first year. You've probably heard of Impossible Meat. Well, soon there could be Impossible Milk. Company Impossible Foods is known for making plant-based meat look and taste like the real thing, and now they're trying to do it with dairy. The milk is still in the works right now. Company CEO says they're working to make the beverage taste like the real thing. Today, Maine astronaut Chris Cassidy and 2 Russian cosmonauts will return to Earth after 6 months on board the International Space Station. Cassidy is completing his 3rd flight for a total of 378 days in space, the 5th highest total among U.S. astronauts. Perfect for fall. Today is National Pumpkin Cheesecake Day. The first reference of cheesecake appears to date back to ancient Greece around 2000 BC. It was sometimes served as a wedding cake, and there is some evidence it was served to athletes during the first Olympic Games back in 776 BC. And American cheesecake exploded in popularity shortly after cream cheese was invented in 1872. Sports, the Dodgers beat Tampa Bay last night in Game 1 of the World Series. Final score 8-3. LA leads the series 1-0. Game 2 tonight. I'm CBS 13's Jeff Peterson on Legacy 1160 WSKW.
When Speaker Sarah Gideon's own House colleague, a school teacher, and a member of her caucus in the House was credibly accused of preying on underage girls, Sarah Gideon knew, but did nothing. She even invited the predator to sing the national anthem in the House chamber during session. Can you see? Only after the school put the predator on leave and after the press started asking questions did Gideon finally act. 5 months later. For 5 months, Sarah Gideon just played along. And the home of the brave. She knew. She ignored. She literally stood and cheered. That's not the main way. Say no to Sarah Gideon. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
You can say these 3 things about me or the coronavirus. You might have seen me before and not know it. You might know my name, but not recognize what I look like. I might be the reason you wear a mask. I'm Earl Kingsbury. I live and work in Augusta. As Mainers, we have worked hard to fight COVID-19, and we're not done yet. With the upcoming election, learn all the safe ways to vote at augustamaine.gov. This public service announcement is from the City of Augusta and every person you know who doesn't want to get COVID-19.
Explore the wild side of Maine in a Jeep from Haight Chrysler Dodge Jeep. And now is the perfect time to get a new Jeep at a great deal during Jeep Adventure Days. Now through the end of October at Haight Chrysler Dodge Jeep, 507 Lakewood Road, Klaus Corner, Madison.
This is President Barack Obama. In Maine, you've got a big responsibility this year. Not only are you choosing who represents you in Washington, you could also determine which party controls the Senate. That's why I'm proud to endorse Sarah Gideon. From her work to lower the cost of health care and prescription drugs, to tax relief she's helped provide for middle-class Mainers, Sarah has brought people together to get things done. Now, the challenges we face as a country are great, and we need leaders like Sarah who are looking out for working families. Without her, Republicans might maintain control of the Senate. But you can help elect Sarah Gideon and make sure if Joe Biden wins, he'll have a Senate ready to work with him to move our country forward. Sarah will always be a strong voice for Maine and is exactly the type of leader we need in Washington. Again, this is President Barack Obama. I hope you'll join me in supporting her for Senate.
I'm Sarah Gideon, running for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Sarah Gideon for Maine.
I'm CBS 13 meteorologist Lexi O'Connor. This morning, cloudy with areas of fog. Chance for a light shower. Remaining cloudy today with the chance for a light shower. It will be cooler with highs in the mid to upper 50s. Clearing overnight, sunny and nice tomorrow with highs in the mid 60s. Sun and clouds near 60 on Friday. Back to the 60s with the chance for a late day shower on Saturday.
Thank you, Lexi. Cloudy 45 in Skowhegan, 47 in Waterville. Cloudy skies 47 as well. A lot of gray out there in Augusta. And you are now up to date from Maine's Heritage Station, Legacy 1160 WSKW.
It's like your father is on the radio every day.
When I was 17, I drank some very good beer. I drank some very good beer I purchased with a fake ID. My name was Brian McKee.
It's the Mike Violet Show on Legacy 1160 WSKW.
I am your father. Get up. It's 8:37. Good morning. I'm Mike Violet. It's the Mike Violet Show. Legacy 1160 WSKW. The show brought to you by Kennebec Electric and Lighting. Contact them for all your electric and lighting servicing, including expert installations and repairs. 861-7028, online at KennebecElectric.com. You can find the show online. Legacy1160.com is where you can stream us, stream me, stream John, stream our high school sports, stream our great oldies 24/7. That's brought to you by the Harry J. Smith Company. And of course, we're on Facebook Live too. Facebook.com/Legacy1160 WSKW. Also on John James' page. And John will be here with his Freedom Pep Rally from 9 until noon. And of course, on my Facebook page as well. It is 8:38. And let's welcome in the Republican candidate for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District. He's a multi-time offender on this program. He is Dale Crafts. Dale, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, good morning. Doing wonderful. Yeah, full speed ahead. He's coming quick now. Less than 2 weeks.
Yes, we are down to 13 days, and I know, and I'm not a big believer in polls either, but the polls have you behind. Where do you see this right now in your mind and what you've seen out there in the vast second CD?
Well, the internal polls that we done back about a week and a half ago shows me closing really fast. We believe that we're going to win this November 3rd. I tell you, going to the rally up there in Herman with the vice president and talking to people, and the feedback we're getting, the Facebook likes and the feedback has been tremendous. We really believe that just like in the primary, as you remember, I was down, and then the last 3 weeks when I started shooting up, we won significantly. We see the same thing trending now.
The money in this race, it's been reported the other day, there was a story about how the second CD race has brought a whole lot less money, and it's probably less contentious this time around between you and Jared than it was against Jared Golden and Bruce Poliquin. The money, though, is a significant thing here. Golden's got, $4.2 million. You're not anywhere close. Do you think that's hindered you, Dale Crafts? And if so, what do you do to overcome it here in the last 13 days?
Well, certainly in the beginning it did, because, when we finished winning the primary, you're pretty much out of money and you're going to start raising for the general. Because he started off with about $2.1 million, and he started in with his ads, which, is a little bit, his ads are a little disingenuous because it shows him as an independent and some moderate, as we know he's not, where he votes for Pelosi nearly 90% of the time. But anyway, so just with the endorsements I have, like that yesterday, with the VP and Governor Paul LePage, and some of the stuff that we're doing that people aren't seeing right now. I mean, we're doing some great text messaging. We're doing some great calling, just out everywhere. I think that we've closed the gap. I know we've closed the gap just from our own internal polling. So we'll see November 3rd. I think people are going to be surprised that I got outspent nearly 5-1, but we can still pull this off. I mean, the president's doing very well in the 2nd district, which is going to help also.
Yeah, and Mike Pence being here and you being on stage, I thought it was great. It was certainly a great event the other day with Governor Paul LePage there, a tremendous turnout. Do you see that changing minds any at all, or is that sort of preaching to the choir in your mind?
Well, I think if you see that we got some really good coverage, you can see I did the fist bump with
yes.
with the VP that went all over the internet and newspapers, and there's really got some tremendous coverage out of that, and we'll continue to use that. We had our video guy up there. We got a lot of really good shots of putting out with Facebook. I mean, it's just all you do. You do everything you can to get your message out, and that's what we're doing. I think that we're right there with Jared, and I think when it comes to people coming out and voting, the president won it by 10 plus and 16, and I think it's going to be higher this time.
When's the next debate? Is there one more?
There's a debate tonight.
It's tonight.
MTW at 8 o'clock.
Okay, so it's 8 o'clock tonight, Channel 8 WMTW. Do you have to have one of those gotcha moments here in order to sort of crawl back in this, or is that necessary for you?
Well, I think that what we need to do is I say to the people, look, Jared and I are different candidates. I have my voting record. I served with him in the legislature. We're on record at the same legislation on how we voted, and there's quite a contrast between us. I think the people need to realize that he's not the moderate he claims to be. I mean, you look at the Second Amendment. I mean, He voted against constitutional carry. He had a D rating when I served him up there. He was tied to Michael Bloomberg. I mean, people need to understand that he's not the Second Amendment guy. If you look at his voting record, I mean, again, he voted to impeach the president. You know, some people have forgotten that. He voted to impeach the president. People need to hear that. He votes for Pelosi and AOC almost 90% of the time. He is part of the extreme left.
My dad's been
and I need to point that out.
Dale Crafts is with me this morning. You can find Dale, of course, on Facebook. Just type in Dale Crafts. You can also find his campaign's official website. That is DaleCraftsForCongress.com, all spelled out. Dale Crafts for Congress, all spelled out. You mentioned the endorsements. Was there a discrepancy about a Sam endorsement somewhere when it comes to guns or the NRA? I'm trying to remember what I saw.
Well, what happened is I was on. What was I on? I was on the Howie show, and I was
Howie
down
Carr,
through my endorsements, and I got an A+ rating from the NRA, lifetime member, A+ rating from Sportsman Alliance of Maine, A+ rating Guns Owners of Maine, and I was mentioning my different sponsors, and mistakenly we said Sportsman Alliance of Maine, which is, I mean, I'm on the board,
right?
And then so the truth of the matter is nobody got the endorsement. Normally, the SAM ILA board has the right to endorse the incumbent, which they didn't endorse Jared. They didn't endorse Senator Collins, because being an incumbent. So, but he didn't get it. He didn't get it. I mean, if you really look at his history when it comes to his votes, he shouldn't have got it. He didn't get it. And where I'm the challenger, they don't normally ever endorse the challenger.
Dale Crafts with me again. Dale and his websites, you can find it. Just go online and type in DaleCraftsForCongress.com, and of course on Facebook as well, all over the place there. So I saw Jared Golden on TV, I don't know if it was yesterday, day before, saying absolutely not, wouldn't defund the police at all, would never vote for that. He's got a spot running with Craig Poulin, the former head of the Maine State Police, saying the very same thing. What do you see and hear from him that's different from that?
Well, I'll tell you, you watched right along when the Democrats around the country and the leadership was not saying a word, and people were talking all across this nation about defunding the police. I didn't hear anything from Jared. I've never said that Jared said he was going to defund the police, but it was amazing. If you look at the timeline, when they come out with these polls that showed that the American people did not agree with the Democrats on defunding the police, all of a sudden, Jared and Biden and Pelosi all decided that if they're going to win re-election, then we need to make sure that we say we're supporting the police. If you just look at the timeline, and it just amazes me that how people can change color when it comes to running for re-election. They become somebody they need to be to win. Dale Crafts is who he is. I'll stand on my record. Not trying to be anybody that I'm not trying to change. I am who I am, and I stand on my record, and I'm proud of it.
There has been a lot of, some discussion, some of it on talk shows. I don't think I've necessarily talked about it here because I don't think it's a huge issue. But what's the what's the bone of contention with your vote for or against the LePage tax cut?
Oh, well, what happened was with that is because I was all part of the idea and working with my caucus and discussing it and for it and putting the idea together. Many times we met with our caucus going over the budget. And so what happened is when the Senate version came down, I voted for it. But when it came right down to the end and final vote for the budget, the spending that was added to the, I'm a fiscal conservative. You look at my record up there, my 8 years of serving, I think there was only one budget that I voted on because I just can't handle, we're Republicans. We're for smaller government. And we go out and knock on doors, and that's what we say. And when we increase spending and it's out of control, I just can't put my name on it.
So you didn't vote for the budget in the end because you didn't think it was enough of a cut?
Exactly. It was the tax cut was good, but the spending to fund government is growing, and so I just couldn't put my name on the spending.
Do you get asked about this at all by people? I can't imagine it's a big deal with voters.
No, I haven't got asked about it a bit, other than the
the
news media. Certainly the liberal press, which is incredible because every time I get interviewed, it's the same liberal questions one after another. It'll be the same thing. They're going to talk about racism, which is just continually. Why don't we talk about how America has changed? How we have hate crimes and we enforce it and we put people in jail that do this stuff, and talk about the positive side of it. But they just want to go down. It's climate change. It's Obamacare. It's the same thing. I've heard it for over 12 months. Every interview. I wish they'd come up with some other questions that maybe would make a difference, pointing out the difference between Jared and I.
Well, for instance, let's do that now. Let's say, I said to you, Dale Crafts, you've got an assignment, you've got homework right now, and that's to come up with, say, the top 3 or 4 issues for the average person in the Maine Congressional District number 2. What would they be?
Well, healthcare. Jared, they accused me of wanting to do away with Obamacare, but he voted in February of 2019. He co-sponsored a bill for Medicare for All, which eliminates the Affordable Care Act. So what he's accused me of is exactly what he did, and he co-sponsored it. So it's going to close 19 rural hospitals because the hospitals are just not going to keep the doors open because the payment for Medicare is not going to be enough to keep them open. And it's going to cost $32 trillion to pay for it. And then you take the new Green Deal, okay? He says he's not for the new Green Deal, but he is voting for Vice President Biden and Kamala Harris, which is for the new Green Deal, because now they're saying they're not, because, again, they're changed. And then you got Kamala Harris with the Second Amendment. She's an extremist. She wants to take away the Second Amendment. She wants to take away everybody's guns. I mean, that's who Jared's supporting.
I can't imagine that the new Green Deal comes up a whole lot in Dover Foxcroft.
I think you're right, Mike. I don't think it comes up at all, but I do say that we just have to look at how far the left has taken us. You know what? We need to stick to our free market system that has changed the world. We can't go to the Venezuela-style government. That's the way the left is bringing us. They're taking us down a road that we're going to regret, and we need to make sure that we re-elect President Trump, who's endorsed me, and we need to keep and Susan Collins, and we need to keep control of the Senate and take the majority in the House so that we can get something done.
Some of the polling numbers, Dale, are saying that the independent voters right now, you're losing them and they're not coming to you. So as an independent voter listens right now, how do you spell the differences between you and Jared Golden, and what should be the reason that any indie voter comes over to your side?
Well, they want somebody that believes in the free market. Somebody that's a small businessman that has hired hundreds and hundreds of people over the years, started multiple successful businesses. I've signed the front of the paycheck. Jared hasn't. You know what? I've given back in this economy in my whole life, and that's what I'm going to do. We need to have great jobs in the second district. We needed to grow it up there, start companies up there. I can take that business experience that he doesn't have. And again, I'm going to protect the very precious things that the second district loves so much. And that's the freedoms that we have, our ability to carry, our ability to, get up in the morning, go to work, and not have the overburden of the government and regulation to stop us and take our freedoms away. There's a complete contrast between Jared Golden and I.
What would be, as a businessman, and you certainly have vast business experience with several companies that you've started that have been successful, what would be some sort of legislation that you might come up with in order to help things out business-wise in the second CD?
Well, certainly we get Susan Collins reelected, and she's very powerful in Washington. I'm going to work with her. There are some really great opportunities down east with the Eastport. We're working on now with the president and Governor LePage about a National Guard training center up in Woodville, Maine, that's going to bring jobs and help our economy. We need infrastructure. The roads coming out of down east, to bring in big trucks and in and out of there and that port, we need to build roads through there. We need to invest in infrastructure. This is stuff that we can do in the second district. We got to continue to help our farmers and help them to continue with a potato crop, the broccoli crop, and make sure that they can grow their businesses with government out of the way.
Closing message here, Dale. You've got a minute. What would you say to the independent voter other than that? Go ahead and close it down.
Well, I think if you go to DaleCraftsCongress.com and you take a look at all the endorsements I've had, why they've endorsed me, things that people have said. Look at my resume. This is the biggest job interview that I've ever been on. And I think that you need to look at the resumes, go online and compare Jared and I. You're going to see a complete contrast. I think that if you want the economy to grow and you want somebody that will fight for your rights and what made this country great, what made Maine great, I'm the guy. Dale Crass for Congress.com.
Dale, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure to speak to you, sir. You have a great story. Continued good luck.
Thank you so much.
All right, Dale Crafts. Certainly an uphill battle. The polls, not kind, and it sounds like the Nationals have pulled out of the race. It would take some sort of monumental, wacky thing to happen here in the final 13 days, I think, for Dale to win this thing. Jared Golden is a solid candidate on the other side. 8:53. Come back and close it down next. I'm Mike Violet. It's Legacy 1160 WSKW.
ABC Entertainment News.
The pandemic will be front and center when Blackish returns to TV tonight, and star Jennifer Lewis tells me she was a little freaked out to go back to work and be around other people.
Absolutely, I had a full-out anxiety attack.
But the safety protocols worked. After 2 months, they've had no positive tests. Catch Blackish tonight on ABC.
Let's get to work.
The Fast and Furious franchise is apparently coming to an end, but it'll be a while. The 9th film due out next Memorial Day. Deadline reports that'll be followed by a 10th and then finally an 11th movie. No word why Universal would kill the multi-billion-dollar franchise, which might live on via spin-offs.
We will return home.
If they will, we won't know it. The ambitious Netflix space drama Away, starring Hilary Swank, is one and done. It premiered last month and won't be getting a season 2. The Crown has its new Prince Charles. The Affair star Dominic West reportedly set to tackle the role for seasons 5 and 6. Season 4 due out November 15th.
You idiot.
And Judge Judy is 78 today. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
Hi, it's Joey Joseph from Colebrook Mitsubishi in Skowhegan. While other dealers are just scrambling around trying to drop their prices, increase their services, or offer you more money for your trade-in, Colebrook Mitsubishi has been doing that from day one. And that's precisely how we become the #1 Mitsubishi dealer in all of New England. Whether you've been dreaming of driving a new Mitsubishi Outlander, Eclipse Cross, Outlander Sport, or Mirage, we know that you won't find anyone better to help you out. And don't forget our new Mitsubishis come with the industry's best 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. See us for details. If you've had credit mishaps, come see us and find out how we can help. Everyone deserves a second chance with a nicer, newer ride. Why not choose a small-town dealer with friendly folks to do business with? Small-town dealer with big-time discounts. We wish everyone good health and happiness. You can shop at our facility or online at ColebrookMitsubishi.com with great confidence. Colebrook Mitsubishi, Route 201 in Skowhegan.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Center.
If your car is a wreck and you don't know where to go,
take it to Moody's.
You wanna get on with your life, get on with the show.
Take it to Moody's.
Good people you can trust, and it won't be a fuss.
Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
MOODY. Your kid was talking on the cell phone, drove right through your own home, sitting in the parking lot. Maybe you get hit a lot, driving through the green light. Suddenly your side swipe, put it in reverse, but it turned out that it was first.
Take it to Moody's. Take it to Moody's Collision Centers.
In 2013, we opened the Portland Hunt Alpine Club.
We're a small bar and restaurant. We have a dozen employees.
When the pandemic forced us to close, we went from being open 7 days a week to literally one day making nothing and dealing with months of having zero revenue for our business at all. We needed a PPP small business loan to keep our employees and just to keep our business.
We feel the responsibility of a dozen employees' livelihoods, their food, their shelter, their families. But Susan Collins wrote a loophole to let corporate chains take the small business loan, and Mitch McConnell included it in the law.
Big corporate chains scarfed up the money before most small businesses like ours had a chance. We feel totally abandoned by her.
They were supposed to be looking out for us.
Susan Collins and Mitch McConnell were just looking out for their big corporate donors and not Mainers.
Change Now is responsible for the content of this ad, paid for by Change Now. Make ChangeNow.org not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
If quality and reliability for all of your home heating and cooling needs is important to you, then choose Bob's Cash Fuel in Madison. Starting out with just one truck for deliveries in 1981, they've continued to grow to a locally owned and operated full-service company offering experience and a staff of trusted and loyal professionals. Bob's Cash Fuel offers heating, gasoline, propane, and 24-hour emergency service for heating and cooling. And now with their new app, you can order fuel right from your phone, check account information and delivery status, make a payment, and more. Download the app at the App Store today. Bob's Cash Fuel also offers emergency oil and propane delivery to all of their customers. And if you're looking for a new boiler that can give you all of the hot water that you need and reduce your heating fuel costs by up to 40%, then check out the System 2000 from Bob's Cash Fuel in Madison. To heat or cool and propane too. Call Bob's Cash Fuel, Bob's Cash, Route 148 in Madison, your System 2000 premier dealer.
Couple of minutes in front of 9, excuse me. That means I would say that John James were here really early if it were a couple of minutes before 8, but it's a couple of minutes before 9, and that means it's time for the John James Freed and Pepper Alley. That is coming up next. Dr. G's on today, baby. Get your medical questions ready. 441-6969. You can text John. All the interviews this morning, Ken and Mike Hour, Phil and Ethan agree to disagree. Dale Crafts, all will be on the Facebook page after the show. That's facebook.com/legacy1160 WSKW. Tomorrow, it's a free-for-all right now, wide open. Next week, however, we're going to get Jared Golden on the show. Have a chance to talk to him. Haven't done that yet. Looking forward to it. Let you know when the date comes. Stay tuned. John is next. I'll see you back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 6 on Legacy 1160 WSKW.
From the Home Auto Group Studios, Farmington Ford and Franklin Chrysler in Farmington. This is WSKW, Skowhegan, Augusta, Waterville, Legacy 1160.
ABC News, I'm Faith Abube. The 2020 presidential candidates debate tomorrow night in Nashville, their final before Election Day. And while Joe Biden preps, former President Barack Obama will be in Philadelphia today on Twitter, urging young voters to cast their ballots.
I know there's plenty out there to make people feel cynical. And plenty of people are going to seize on that to convince you that your vote doesn't matter. It's not new. It's one of the oldest voter suppression tactics there is.
Meanwhile, President Trump blitzing the battleground states. He was in Pennsylvania Tuesday.
First Lady Melania Trump had been scheduled to appear with her husband in Pennsylvania, but her office canceled, citing a lingering cough from her COVID-19 infection.
ABC's Elizabeth Schulze. In the Breonna Taylor case, a grand juror is now allowed to come forward after a judge's order. Taylor was killed in her apartment in a botched police raid. That grand juror releasing a statement saying the panel was never given a chance to consider homicide charges against the police officers. This is ABC News. Black Lives Matter protests may have had an effect. A researcher from the University of Colorado found that cities with higher numbers of protests saw a nearly 3% drop in deadly interactions with police. San Francisco looking to put a stop to African Americans being harassed with 911 calls. The city's Board of Supervisors has unanimously passed a measure that allows the targets of frivolous 911 calls to sue the caller. An unusual turn in the governor's race in Utah.
It starts like any other campaign ad.
I'm Spencer Cox, your Republican candidate for Utah governor.
But then,
and I'm Chris Peterson, your Democratic candidate for governor.
Setting partisanship aside, at least for a moment, the two campaigns have come together with a message almost unheard of in 2020.
We can debate issues without degrading each other's character.
We can disagree without hating each other.
And win or lose in Utah, we work together.
Some on Twitter have chided the two, saying politics is personal. Others say the message makes them want to move to Utah. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Faith Abube, ABC News.
I'm Dr. Stork. Today, better nutrition and stronger immunity are essential. That's why Eggland's Best gives you and your family more. Compared to ordinary eggs, Eggland's Best provides 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, and 38% more